Hey folks, welcome back. So recently we've been looking at some previews of stuff that I've picked up recently via Kickstarter and haven't played yet. So I thought we'd take a turn and look at something that I've played the hell out of, which is the Marvel Superheroes role-playing game from TSR. This is from way back in 1984. I didn't play it when it first came out because I'm old, but I'm not that old. I played it years and years later. I can tell you with full confidence that it is something that holds up despite being so many years old. It's surprisingly advanced for its time in some ways. I mean, this is a game that has a single universal resolution mechanic. It's got meta currency. It's got stuff that people think they invented 5 years ago, but in fact was around even before this game, in fact. And this is, of course, all about your Marvel heroes. And you'll see here we've got a copy of the original basic set. Now, there are two versions of the basic set for this game. We'll look at the revised version in the next video. And the judges screen I've included as well because this is actually very easy to get hold of in decent condition and it's worthwhile having, and I'll show you why. The basic core of this game is very simple, which we'll see in a minute. And this box set, accordingly, is very easy to jump into and play. So you can see on the back here, so now you too can join in the adventures of Spider-Man, Captain America, and other exciting Marvel heroes. And they'll have lots of annoying trademark symbols on everything. And everything you need to play is in this box. You got a 16-page introductory battle book, 48-page campaign book, and 16-page adventure, Day of the Octopus. Also included are a 21.5 by 33-inch full-color two-sided map, 25 cardboard playing pieces, and 2 dice. The Marvel Superheroes game can be played by 2 or more people, ages 10 and up. And when we crack it open here, you'll see you get a couple of 10-sided dice. And these 2 dice are the core of the game's universal resolution mechanic, which we can see here on the back of the introductory battle book. So this is the universal table. So it's very simple. Basically, every stat or power that a given character has is ranked along this scale from shift 0, which means you can't do anything. Feeble, poor, typical, good, excellent, remarkable, incredible, amazing, monstrous, unearthly, Shift X, and Class 1000 for cosmic level beings. So you find your level in the given ability or talent or power that you want to use on the column here, and then you roll the dice as a D100, and you pick your result along this table. A white result means that you failed, a green result means that you just made it, a yellow result means you have a better level of success, and red means you push yourself to the limit. And on the bottom you see the battle effects table. So you use the same exact mechanism, same colors and everything, but in a battle context, the ability that you're using and what you're trying to do. So for example, if you're trying to punch somebody in a slugfest, or you're trying to shoot somebody, or you're trying to grapple somebody, you'll use the appropriate ability for that. You'll roll on the table, and then the color will give you what kind of result you get. You can get a regular hit, you can miss, you can get a slam, or a stun, or you can get a kill. If you're using a killing attack. Killing people is generally not a good idea in this game, and it's discouraged because of the karma system, which is the meta currency I was talking about. But this right here is the core of the mechanic. So let's say I'm Captain America and I have an incredible level of strength and I want to lift up a car or something like that. Then I roll my dice. I've got here a, let's call that a 41. So I would look at my incredible, and 41 puts me right in the green right here. So I successfully lift the car. Maybe it's a bit of a strain, but I managed to do it. And that's it. It's really easy, and it applies to basically everything, variations of that mechanic throughout. So we'll start by looking at the battle book, which is sort of strangely named, but this is kind of like a quick start, if you like, in the modern terminology. So it's 16 pages that get you right into the game and how to play right away. So as you can see, there's a little bit of a kind of comic illustration of what it's like to play this kind of RPG, which is pretty cool. And then, welcome to the Marvel Superheroes game, True Believers. So they tell you a little bit about preliminary stuff, like how to read the dice, and what percentile dice are and how it works. The original set came with dice that didn't have any color in the numbers, so they recommended that you used a crayon to fill in the numbers on the dice and wipe off any excess wax with a tissue or cloth. So we're talking very old school here. They explain what is a hero. These are the core stats that make up your character. So the system is known nowadays as FASERIP because that's the acronym that's spelled out by the stats. You have F is fighting, punching people, basically. Agility is ability to hit people with thrown weapons or dodge things or do acrobatics, that kind of stuff. Strength is how much you can lift and how hard you can punch. And we have E for endurance, measures how far a hero can push himself and how well you can resist damage and gas and poison and all that kind of stuff. Reason is your brains and your smarts, so it helps you to invent stuff or repair machines or all that kind of thing. And we got I for intuition, N, which is your wits and common sense. So you use that to notice things or sense danger or get a hunch about something. And finally, the P is for psyche, measures force of will. So that's your mental powers and your ability to use magic. Now, magic is sort of lightly touched on in the basic game, and they say, well, don't try and give it to player characters too much because it's very powerful. But there's a whole great expansion called Realms of Magic, which is compatible with the basic set, which allows you to build characters like Doctor Strange, who wield magical powers, and it has a new version of the Universal Table, which works with magic. So it's really, really good. We'll look at that in a future video as well. And the nice thing about Marvel Superheroes is that there's a basic set, there's an advanced set, but everything is basically cross-compatible. So the basic stuff will work in the advanced game. You'll just be missing some of the extra details, and you can fill those in pretty easily. Then we have the key here of the rank numbers and descriptors. So this is a slightly odd choice that they made. It's rectified in the revised basic set and the advanced set, but you have these sort of word ranks that are applied to a numerical rank, which we could see on the back of the book here on the table, right? So each word descriptor matches up with a number, and they tend to list the characters with the word descriptors, not the numbers, which can get a bit confusing because it's hard to remember if remarkable is better than incredible or vice versa. But they give you a basic idea of what these numbers mean. So feeble is far below average human, poor is below average human, typical is average human, 10 is above average human, 20 is Olympic level athlete, 30 is the limit of a natural human ability, 40 is enhanced human ability, 50 is the highest rank possible for anything considered human, monstrous is beyond the realm of humans entirely, 100 is the limit of human ability to describe and understand, and class 1000 is beyond the human ability to comprehend. So we're talking about, again, cosmic level beings. There are information cards included in the game, which we'll look at towards the end of the video, which show the abilities and superpowers that go along with these. So you have your FASERIP stats for each character. Then they also have superpowers and talents and stuff. So here we talk about talents. So these are things that the character is particularly good at. For example, if you're Peter Parker, he loves chemistry and taking photos for the Daily Bugle. So those will be his talents, and he'll get bonuses useful when he's needing to do those particular tasks. Then we also have what they call variable abilities. So these are your health, which are your hit points. They say a number between 8 and 400. So it's quite a wide range. And then when you get hit, you'll lose damage according to the level of the ability or power that hits you. If somebody with fighting 40 hits you successfully and you can't dodge or evade, then you'll take 40 points of damage. It's pretty straightforward. If you're reduced to 0 or less, you're knocked out. However, if you get knocked down to 0 with a killing weapon, then you'll be in a dying state and need to get healed up by somebody. And they touch on healing here. So an injured or sick hero regains health points equal to his current endurance rank number every day, and it's doubled if you rest in bed or tripled if you're under a doctor's care or in a hospital. If the hero's endurance rank was reduced, you regain 1 rank per week. Healing continues until your health and endurance return to normal. And then you have karma. This is your control over luck and fate, and karma is a big pile of points that you have that you can use to modify dice rolls. And you gain karma by doing heroic things, and you lose karma by doing non-heroic things. So for example, if you save somebody from crime or defeat a supervillain, you'll get lots of karma. If you lose a battle to the supervillain in front of people, you'll lose karma. And you also have resources. So this is your money, essentially. But it's not just money. It's more in a Call of Cthulhu sense, where it's a general idea of how much access you have to resources. So Captain America, in his daily life doesn't have lots of money, but he has connections to S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers and most of the U.S. government. So he can get pretty much whatever he wants. So that's reflected in his resources. Then you've got popularity. So this is how well-liked the hero is. And that doesn't really matter too much if you're doing one-shots. But if you're doing a campaign game, you want to track that, because the more popular you are, then NPCs and regular people will react differently to you. And that can be a big problem. If your popularity is very low and you're trying to tell people, hey, get out of this bad situation, they might be too busy booing and jeering at you to listen, and that could put people in danger, which could lead to losing karma and more popularity. It really is a nice way to incentivize heroic roleplay in the game. So feats. This is the basic mechanic of the game. It stands for a function of exceptional ability or talent. You roll the dice, as we saw, the percentile dice, and you check the universal table, and you see if the number rolled is high enough for the feat to succeed, and you check along the 11 ability ranks on the top, and you try to get green or better. And that's basically it. They show you the abilities, and you can see they spell FASERIP along the side here, and what kind of activities you can do with them. So fighting is attacking with bare hands, a club or a knife, agility, dodging, jumping, acrobatics, throwing things, strength, lifting, breaking, bending, wrestling, endurance, resisting unconsciousness or poison, reason, understanding technology, intuition, avoiding surprise, finding clues, psyche, casting spells, or resisting mental control. So they give some nice examples here. And then they have this hard to read section here with the spider logo behind it. But basically, the 3 colors on the table can be used as levels of difficulty. Green is the easiest difficulty. The lower numbers will get you a green feat success. Yellow is in the middle, and red is the hardest. So for example, if you want to represent as the game master that Spider-Man can lift pretty heavy stuff, but he can't lift a jumbo unless he really pushes himself to the max, then you might say, well, if you could do a red feat, you might be able to at least lift it for a second, and that will be a lot harder to achieve than a yellow or a green. So you can use that as a difficulty kind of adjustment. And then they talk about using karma. Karma is really great in that you can use it in 2 directions. So it's a 1-for-1 exchange. You spend 1 point of karma, you get 1 point added to a roll. If it's your roll, you can add to it. If it's somebody else's roll that's attacking you, for example, then you can spend karma to lower it. What's interesting about this, though, is that you have to decide whether to use karma before the roll actually happens. So there's a gambling element to this. And if you succeed in your roll and you don't need karma for the result that you got, then you automatically spend 10 karma points regardless. You've committed that at a minimum. If you don't succeed in the roll, then you will automatically spend an amount of karma needed to raise the value to the required level. So if you rolled a 27 and you needed a 67, then you'll spend 40 karma points, and that'll be that. You'll subtract it from your pool. You can also use it to lower other people's rolls. So if somebody hits your hero and you're like, I don't want to be hit right now because I'm in a bad way, then you can lower their dice roll to the next lower color by spending 40 karma points. And only the heroes can spend karma freely. The characters controlled by the judge, so the enemies basically, can only spend a max of 20 karma points on any one dice roll. They can spend any amount to save their lives or build things, but other than that, they're restricted. So that's nice. I mean, it gives the heroes a bit of an edge. I mean, this is supposed to be a game where you do heroic stuff, so you don't want people dying all over the place. They do say, however, that if you get attacked when you weren't expecting to be attacked, so you got surprise attacked, then you can't spend karma during the first round. So that's one of the benefits for the enemies of surprising you. So then they talk about the strength of materials. Each different material that you might run into in the game will have different levels of strength along the same 11 ability ranks as everything else. So from poor to unearthly, if your hero strength rank is better than materials rank, then he can use just a regular green feat roll to rip it apart. If the material is ranked the same, then you need a yellow feat roll, and if the material is ranked higher, you need to make a red feat roll to manipulate that material. So it's simple enough. And there's a material option here, so where basically you can decide to make certain materials harder or easier to break by using variations on this rule. And they talk about moving on the map. So we can take out the actual map that's included here so you can see what they're talking about. Now this game uses a zone-based map, just a portion of New York City. And you can see that the map is divided into these zones. You have buildings with walls, the outsides of which are delineated. You can see where there's windows and doors, etc. What's a lot of fun is that, when you hit somebody hard and you get a slam result, for example, you can knock them through walls, which will take extra damage and break the wall down. You can really end up causing a lot of collateral damage, which doesn't do wonders for your karma, but it is pretty funny. When heroes move, they move by zones. So it's a little bit abstracted. It's not simple squares or hexagons like you might find in Champions, for example. And the other half of this map, you can see we've got other different buildings, all in a nice blocky street format that you would expect in New York City. And we've got all different kinds of buildings and places to do things. We've got some rooftops to fight on. You can knock people off of, buildings to punch people through, lots of different features. And then on the other side as well, some very colorful buildings. So we have a bit of a shopping mall, quiche mall. So there's, Williams baseball cards, a spice shop, tuxedos, Heyday lingerie, Quickie burger. We've got some banks and offices over here. And then we've got on this side, just about to see it, the Trojan Horse Travel Agency, the Croup Building, camera store. And then pull this up a little bit. You can see on this side we have the Global Press, canneries, warehouses, a pool hall. We've got some storage, we've got restaurants, and then all the way over here we have a construction site, an executive building, Centennial building, a hotel with a lobby and some office space as well. So these are just different interiors you can use for bits of battles. So they give you a fun little map. So How you move on this map is pretty straightforward. So in the box you have these little cardboard tokens, which we'll take a look at later. And your endurance determines how far you can move in one round. So if you have feeble, which is just 2, you can move only 1 area. A hero with poor to excellent can move 2 areas. And a hero with remarkable or better can move 3 areas. And you may have superpowers that allow you to go much further than that. So you might be able to fly a ridiculous amount in one turn, for example, depending on which hero you're in control of. The lines on the map outline areas. Thick solid lines represent outside walls, and thin solid lines represent inside walls. Heroes can cross dotted lines without looking for doors or otherwise being slowed down. If you want to go through a wall without doors or windows, you can try crashing through the wall. So again, we're talking about material strength and stuff to punch your way through. You can also try to block people from entering a door by standing in a doorway, and they either have to slam, stun, or charge the character to get through, which is explained in the fighting chapter. It's clobbering time. It's hard to fight in crowded areas, they say. So any attack in a crowded or cluttered area gets shifted 1 column to the left. And that's another thing that happens a lot with this universal table. So let's say, I'm Captain America again. I've got my remarkable strength, but if I'm fighting in a crowded area and I'm trying to punch somebody, that will shift my result 1 column to the left. So, it's going to be harder for me to achieve success. And if my opponent dodges, which you'll see down here, you can actually get quite a few shifts on that attempted attack roll, as many as 6 columns. So a good dodge, like somebody like Spider-Man might have, can really make it difficult for you to hit. So these column shifts are an interesting way to modify rolls because they use this table, like war games do with their results tables. So they could talk about how you can climb the sides of buildings as well. And if you have a special power, then you can move at normal speed on vertical surfaces. So you can jump up to the top of buildings in one go. People with endurances below remarkable can climb 1 story per round on stairs. Remarkable or better can climb 2 per round. Some heroes have special powers that allow them to jump around like giant bullfrogs. The rest of us must make agility feat rolls to jump from building to building, and we can't cross more than 1 area doing so. And if you fall off a building, you lose 10 health points for each story, and if that doesn't knock you out, you must make an endurance feat roll. If it's white, you pass out for 1 round for each story you fell, but you can spend karma to reduce the damage. So you fall 10 stories or 100 feet per round. Now we get into the fighting rules. Again, it's pretty quick going here. We're only on page 10, so this is very much a quick start kind of scenario. So during fights, you break up into turns, but this is more like old school D&D style, so you have side-based initiative. The judge, or as the GM is called, will decide what the bad guys are doing. The good guys will tell the judge what they're doing before any dice are rolled. Then one player and the judge will roll a die, and whoever is higher will get the initiative for that round, and then the next round they will switch. The side with the initiative is the attacker, and the other side is the defender. The attacker will move all of its heroes or villains and do their actions to the other side. After that, the side that didn't get initiative becomes the attacker, moves and clobbers the other guys. So if you want to slug or grab somebody, you have to be in the same area and right next to the other guy, and you want to put their counters together in the area to show that they're within clobbering range. And you can move and attack somebody in the same round. Fighting agility or strength ability gets shifted 1 column to the left for that attack. And if you can't reach the bad guy, you can throw something at him. Combat, again, is all about feat rolls. There are different types of feat rolls you can do. So Slugfest is using your hands, feet, big sticks, or any blunt instrument. That's a fighting feat, so use your fighting stat for that. If you're doing hack and slash with your, knives or sharp weapons, swords, whatever, then you use a fighting feat as well. For shooting and throwing, you will be using agility with any distance weapons. And missile weapons have limited ranges, so you have to keep that in mind as well. Range of thrown items depends on your strength. A hero can throw something 1 area plus another area for each rank that his strength is above typical. So if you have monster strength, you can throw something 7 areas. And you notice there are again little optional rules, which I'm not going to go into, partially because they're really hard to read from behind the camera, and they're hard to read even without that as well. Then you can do dodging. So at the start of a round, you can say you're dodging instead of attacking. Every time somebody tries to do something to you, you make an agility feat roll and consult the dodging column on the battle effects table, which we saw as before. You can either have nothing happen, 2 column shifts for the bad guy, 4 or 6. So you can weaken the possibility of getting hit by taking the dodge action. You can also grapple, so this is wrestling, squeezing, crushing, and choking, and that's a strength feat. If you want to escape from a hold or wrestle something out of somebody's grasp, like disarming them from their weapons, that's also a strength feat. There's also a special move called a charge, so it's an endurance feat, and basically you have to be able to see who you're charging at, and you have to be close enough to reach them in 1 round, but you can't be next to them already. Get ahead of steam, basically. Then you charge into the guy, shift 1 column to the right of your endurance rank on the universal table for each area you charge through and make an endurance feat. He also does more damage because he shifts his strength rank one column to the right for each column he shifts his endurance. If you miss, then you keep moving straight ahead, and if there's an object in front of you, you hit it. Otherwise, you just roar into the next area and make an agility feat roll to avoid tripping and falling. So that sounds like a lot, but basically, let's say I have the ability to move 3 areas in one turn. I see a guy 3 areas away. I decide to charge, and that means I get 3 areas of head of steam built up. That means my endurance gets bumped up 3 columns on the chart, and also my strength gets shifted 3 columns. So it's 1 column per column shift given for the endurance, and 1 column shift on endurance per area charged through. And so basically it gives you an additional chance to smack somebody, and smack them pretty hard. And it's really useful when you want to slam somebody, and slams allow you to move people out of the way, essentially, if you're trying to get in somewhere that they're blocking. So, getting hurt. When you get punched, stabbed, choked, or otherwise injured, you lose points from your health. When you don't have any health points left, he goes to sleepy bye-bye land, as they say. Then you have to make an endurance feat roll. If the result is green, yellow, or red, you stay unconscious until the fighting ends, plus another 1 to 10 rounds. So you roll 1 die when the battle stops or moves away. If the result is white, then you're dying. At the end of the next round, your endurance drops 1 rank and keeps dropping at the end of each following round. And if your endurance drops below feeble, then you die. So it's really easy to stop that from happening, though. Basically, if somebody spends a round helping a dying hero, then they can give you first aid and you stop losing endurance ranks and remain unconscious. It doesn't take any special skill to do that. If you get to feeble in your endurance, you can also stay alive by spending 5 karma per round to keep from dropping into death. So again, this is a superhero game. Heroes don't die that much, so they give you various ways to get out of it if you are in that situation. So then they tell you about the details of damage. So when you smack or grapple a defender, then you do damage equal to your strength rank. If you're using thrown items, then it causes damage equal to the material rank number of the stuff it's made of, or the strength rank number of the guy that threw it, whichever is less. People can be tossed around, so you grapple your target with a strength feat. If you succeed, you can toss the defender, and then the defender must make 2 endurance feat rolls. First he checks the slam column, then he checks the stun column. If he isn't slammed or stunned, he lands on his feet in the same area out of the other guy's reach. There's a risk there that when you toss somebody, they'll just be out of the way but not actually damaged, but they could be slammed or stunned. Then you have hack and slash weapons, and weapons like guns that do a set amount of damage, and that'll be listed in the weapons table. Blunt weapons will cause damage equal to the attacker's strength rank number shifted up 1 rank. You can also clobber several people at once. If you want to smash more than 1 guy at once, you make a feat roll using the ability it applies, so fighting for punching and endurance for charging. If the result is yellow or red, then you nail everybody. If it's green or white, you miss everybody. Wrestling is a little bit different. You can shake off any number of attackers with 1 yellow feat roll, but you need special powers to grab more than 2 guys at a time. You can only mash a bunch of goons from a distance by throwing something really big, like a piece of pavement or a car or something like that. It affects everybody in the area if you throw something big, but they all get a chance to jump out of the way by making an agility feat. Pulling punches. So if you're big bad hero dude with lots of strength, like the Hulk or the Thing, maybe you don't want to kill the other guy, but you just want to put him down, then you can voluntarily pull your punches. So you can reduce your attack by 1 color from red to yellow or yellow to green, or you can decide to do less damage than your maximum strength rank, for example, if you're doing a punch. The only way to change damage from missile weapons or thrown weapons is to spend karma. That shows that guns and bows are dangerous and can kill accidentally. Reducing a missile or thrown item kill to a simple bullseye costs 50 karma points, period. That's why guns are usually not used by the heroic types. Then you have body armor. So this is an area of contention with the game, and some people really don't like the body armor mechanic. Basically, if you have body armor, then your body armor has an armor rank. Before anybody can subtract anything from your health, they have to do enough damage to exceed your body armor rank. So effectively, if I have an incredible strength body armor at 40, then any damage less than 40 just pings right off me. And you can have force fields that do effectively the same thing, but they can block not only punches and stuff, but also energy beams, electrical shocks, and all kind of stuff. Regular body armor can only block physical attacks. However, you can still be slammed, stunned, or even killed while wearing your body armor without taking damage, but it does sort of nullify a lot of attacks. That can be annoying when you have characters who only have certain amount of ways to deal damage. But there are various house rules out there to get around this. I personally haven't found it to be a big deal because, you should at least have 1 big bruiser in your party, really. And if you don't, well, then you can still slam or stun them and get the job done. Knock them down, restrain them, whatever you need to do in that way. So there are ways around it. You just have to be a little bit clever. You can also get hit when you're down. If you're unconscious already, a villain can try to come over and keep beating on you. So each successful hit costs you an additional endurance rank, so you get closer to death quicker. But that's pretty mean. As a judge, I wouldn't necessarily want to do that. Then you have the battle effects table, which we saw on the back here. So, we have different effects for all the different types of attacks or things you can do. And you can see for endurance, we have the slam ? And stun ? That's for the defender to roll, for example, when you're being thrown by somebody or being charged at or what have you. And they explain these different effects. So if you miss, then you missed. If you hit, then you'll lose some health points, probably, unless body armor gets in the way. If you get a slam, so if the attacker's strength is at least equal to the defender's endurance, the defender must make an endurance feat roll and consult the slam column. If you have a stun, if the attacker's strength at least equals the defender's endurance, then the defender must make an endurance feat and consult the stun column. And then you have the kill result, so the defender is dying fast. He loses all his health points and passes out. His endurance falls 1 rank at the end of every round until he dies, and he doesn't get to make an endurance feat roll to avoid this. But somebody can still come help him before he dies to stop losing endurance. And you can keep yourself alive with karma at the feeble level of endurance for as much karma as you have. Then you have the bullseye result for thrown items or missile weapons. So you hit the target wherever you want. You can't kill or maim a living human-sized target by hitting him in the vital areas. Killing shots are already taken into account on the battle effects table. You can, however, use this to disable the defender by shooting out their arms or legs, shoot something out of their hands, or even shoot a lever or button on a machine. You have to say you're trying for a bullseye before rolling the dice, otherwise it's going to be a normal hit. If you get 2, 4, 6 shifts, then anybody attacking the hero this round shifts their attack 2, 4, or even 6 columns to the left. That's for dodging, as we'll see. If you get a hold result, the attacker has grabbed the defender and pinned him in a bear hug, headlock, arm lock, or other such wrestling holds, and you keep causing the same damage as punching every round until you let go or until the defender escapes from making a strength roll in opposition. There's also the escape result where the defender slips out of the hold, and you can move up to 1 area away. That's for the defenders, of course. The defender can not only get out of a hold, but also reverse it if he does really well, and that's without even making a second feat roll. If you don't want to reverse the hold, you can just choose to move an area away instead. You have the grab, so you pull whatever you're trying to grab out of the attacker's grasp, so it's a disarm result, basically. You have break, so you grab what you wanted to grab out of your opponent's hand, but it breaks. If it's a gun or a bomb or something else, it can go off, it goes off. Roll a dice for everything important in the area, the object or character with the lowest dice roll gets hit. If you have a result that says 1 area, you get knocked right out of your area and into an adjacent one. The attacker picks, and they must be areas that are adjacent to each other. If there's a wall in between, then the guy who did the punching, if it's stronger than the material, the hero goes through it, otherwise he bounces off. In either case, the guy that got slammed loses more health points, the same as if he'd been punched again. If you have the same area, the defender gets knocked down. It slows him down because you have to spend 1 round getting up before you can do anything else. And if it says 1 to 10 rounds, then you lose all your health points and pass out, and you roll a die, and they're out of commission for that many rounds. When you wake up, you recover as many health points as your endurance rank number. You don't need to start losing endurance ranks as you would for a kill result. Then we got a table of simple weapons here, so their range in terms of areas, how much damage they do on a hit, and special notes. So for example, an assault rifle has a range of 7 areas, does 10 points on a hit, and needs 2 hands to fire, so you can't be holding other weapons at the same time. And then we have a little combat example done with a cute little set of panels, mock fight between Captain America and Spidey, sort of brief summary of a round of combat. And then we have the adventure book. So what they recommend is that you basically read this battle book and get the basics, and then you jump into the adventure book, which is just so happen to be next in the box, and that's the Day of the Octopus. As with other adventures, as always, I'm just going to kind of flip through this and not spoil it for you. Basically, you'll see there are campaign text boxes, so the idea is that if you've gone ahead and read the campaign book, which is the full rules, if you like, for the basic set, then you could do a proper campaign, and you deal with the aftermath of each section, adjust your karma according to the ideas given here, and you'll read out the campaign text. But if you're just doing a one-shot, then you don't have to worry about the campaign stuff. So it's pretty cool. You can do it as a one-shot, you can do it as the starter for a campaign, and they give you tons of guidance here. Perhaps a little bit too much, a little bit wordy, but if you prepare yourself beforehand, then you'll be okay. It's not exactly a lot of pages. It's only 16. Yeah, there's 6 parts of the adventure. I love the title, What Has 4 Tentacles and Destroys New York City? Gee, I wonder. There's an epilogue as well, and then we have a villain roster. So we've got Dr. Octopus, Radioactive Man, Scorpion, Beetle, Fixer, and Octoroid. And you can see this is a typical character listing for the basic set. So again, annoyingly, you have just the word descriptors, not the numbers for the FASERIP abilities. They've got health, karma, then their powers, and their talents. So, for example, for an Octodroid, they've got remarkable fighting, unearthly strength, which is pretty tough, and monstrous endurance, which is 75, also very tough. 215 health, which is quite a lot. And the Octodroid, it says, is 30 feet tall. It's got monstrous protection against all physical and energy attacks. Almost indestructible, and no energy form can penetrate it. It's got 4 tentacles that can reach up to 2 areas away. It's got a mounted wave disruptor cannon that can fire twice, and each shot causes amazing damage. The robot does not use the tentacles for movement. It uses its humanoid feet, programmed to destroy the city of New York street by street. It's not intelligent, so it can't be reasoned with or even talked to. So there you go. That's what a villain listing will look like, typically. And then we'll take a look at the campaign book. So we have yet another copy of the Universal Table, just in case one wasn't enough. I like to have the judge screen for that purpose. I'll show you that after we look at this, though, because it does cover more of the rules than just the battle book. So the campaign book, we have Uatu, the Watcher, introducing us here. Here we get into a lot more detail than the battle book. So we have, again, the basics of heroes with a little bit more fleshing out. We have more stuff about hardware, including vehicles, combat and vehicles, heavy artillery, building stuff. Then we got campaign things you need to worry about, like karma, staying fit and in shape with practice, random encounters, NPCs, reactions, animals, governments and the law, judges and judging. And then there's a character generation system, which feels like an afterthought because it pretty much is. The intention of this game was that you would buy supplements and play as Marvel heroes. And personally, I don't mind that because, as you'll see in a future video, there are so many officially statted Marvel heroes for this game. It's ridiculous. I mean, hundreds upon hundreds. Granted, they're all from the 80s and early 90s, so they're not in their current form. Things have changed since then, but they're easy enough to adjust. One thing they do that's nice in this book is they expand on, giving you a better idea of what these different ability ranks mean by giving you a direct comparison. So for fighting, for example, you can see that J.J. Jameson is a poor fighter. Professor X is feeble because he doesn't use his fists at all. He's in a wheelchair and uses his brain. Excellent fighters would be people like Iron Man, Storm, Cyclops. Remarkable would be Spider-Man, Hulk, She-Hulk. Incredible fighters, you got Wolverine, The Thing, Iron Fist. Amazing, you get up to Captain America. Monstrous, Valkyrie. Unearthly, which is beyond human capability. You get Thor and Hercules, the demigods. And it goes on like that. So agility, we have Amazing, Spider-Man, Nightcrawler. Unearthly, you have Silver Surfer, cosmic level hero. In strength, at the upper end, we've got things, Sasquatch and Colossus. Unearthly, we have Hulk, Thor, and Wonder Man. And so on and so forth for each of the stats. It's just a nice way to get a better idea of sort of the intuition of how you might stat somebody out if you don't happen to have a supplement or if you want to stat out a modern version of the heroes in this game. And they do that for all of the FASERIP stats. And then we have more info about our variable abilities. So for example, we have some info here about sickness. So you can have fatal and non-fatal sicknesses. Fatal illness reduces the hero's health by a certain number of points every week until you die or you're cured. Non-fatal illnesses last a short time, usually less than a week. Reduce your health once and then go away if you get plenty of rest. Drink lots of fluids and listen to your mom's advice. And then there's some more about resources, and we have the weekly amount of resources you gain given your ability rank in that area and the maximum resources you can hold. So beyond incredible, you can hold an unlimited amount of resources in your account if you like, and then you can spend them to get various things such as weapons, vehicles, transport, offices and buildings even. And there's other miscellaneous costs for you like clothes, formal dress, expensive nights out, cameras, electric generators, fences, etc. And they give you these as kind of a guide. If players want to buy stuff that's not listed, you can sort of come up with a reasonable measure. And then we have popularity. So popularity ranks range in the same fashion as normal ability ranks. So that's how well liked you are. The number can vary depending on what you do, as we'll see. And then we have a little bit of information about magic here. You have to study under a master, somebody who has special training. That can give you magical training, and you need to have a psyche of good or better in order to use magic. Magical training can be one of your special powers, or you can study long and hard under a master who already knows this stuff, and you can gain that. Once you understand the magic basics, then the player can simply tell the judge what you want to do, make a green, yellow, or red psych feat, and it happens. But it's not quite that simple. So your ability ranks will affect the magic that you want to do, and will limit the duration and area of effect of your spells. Here's your magical limits. So anything below good, you can't cast anything. At good, you can maximum have a spell that lasts one round, and you have to be touching someone. And then it gets better from there. So at unearthly, your spell can be permanent and can infect a whole planet. So quite a difference from one end of the scale to the other. Now, as I said, magic itself is fleshed out much more in other supplements, but it is cool that they have a little bit to get started with here. So the second factor influencing the effect of your spells is where you get the energy for the spell from. So if it's your personal energies, like from inside yourself, your own psyche, then after casting a spell, you need to roll an endurance feat. And if you get a failure, then you lose 10 health points right away. If you're using universal energies, so these are energies outside of yourself, but still within the same universe, then you will need to roll an endurance feat again after you cast. And if you get a white result, then you suffer a temporary loss of 2 psyche ranks for the next 12 hours. If you're using dimensional energies, that's where you're asking extra-dimensional beings for aspects of their power. You need to do an incantation. You roll against your popularity, shifting right 1 column if your psyche is below incredible. If your psyche is incredible or amazing, you must shift right 2 columns, and if psyche is monstrous or above, you must shift right 3 columns. If you get a red result, the being will either attack or ask for a service in return, so a popular, powerful mage runs more risk of attracting this kind of attention than a neophyte. Then you have a third factor affecting spells, which is the target itself. So this is your casting shifts here. So for each rank of the subject's psyche, you get a -1 shift. Or for each rank of the original enchanter's psyche above that of the present spellcaster, if trying to remove or alter another sorcerer's spell, you get a -1 shift. Or if the item being enchanted is more than 30 feet high or wide, you get a -3 shift. If the spell is an incantation utilizing dimensional energy, you get +2. If the spell was learned from an ancient book, you get +2. Or if it was cast during a ceremony, you get +2. Or you get +2 if the subject is a willing subject of your spell. They're willing to be ensorcelled, as it says here. So magic in combat is an interesting one because magic can take time. If you're drawing upon personal or universal energy, then you can do that during an action phase in combat, but incantations, they won't go off until the end of the round. And if you are disturbed during a ceremony or an incantation, then you won't be able to finish casting the spell. They give an example here from Doctor Strange of, personally, I prefer to draw upon universal energies to protect myself with a mystic shield and use bolts of magical energy to attack with the universal energy. A mystic shield serves as body armor with a material rank equal to the caster's psyche. It affects damage from all incoming attacks. As long as the sorcerer casts the spell successfully, bolts of magical energy or any such spell always hit the target, causing damage equal to the caster's psyche rank number. If you get a red result, the defender's mystic shield shatters, and the defender must make an endurance feat roll or be stunned for 1 to 10 rounds. Now, you're normally limited to 1 spell per round. You may cast 2 spells in 1 round if those spells draw upon personal or universal energies, and if you make a red agility feat roll. Sorcerers can be very powerful, but they live with 2 great dangers. So firstly, you earn karma at the normal rate, but if you do foolish or terrible things, you lose double the normal amount of karma. And secondly, as mighty as you are, you often attract great and powerful wizards who want to challenge you to prove your mettle. You could attract the attention of beings as powerful as Eternity or the Elder Gods or people from Asgard or Olympus, really strong opponents. Messing with sorcery is pretty cool. Using these simple rules, you can do basically whatever as modified by the rules here. It's kind of free-form casting, which is nice. Again, another innovation at this early stage in the RPG hobby. But there are definite costs to that narratively. That could result in serious costs if somebody from Asgard comes to attack you with much stronger magical abilities than yours. Then we get into hardware. So this is all about using tech. Firstly, vehicles. Again, we have another table that, depending on the speed rank assigned to the vehicle, tells you how many areas you can move normally, which is the number to the left, and how many you can move at top speed, which is on the right. So you can see if you're in a very fast vehicle, like the Quinjet can move 25 areas at top speed, which is pretty insane. And each vehicle is very simply represented in these basic rules. You have body, which is the strength of the main body of the vehicle. And then you have control, so that's how quickly and safely the vehicle can turn or do stunts. And if you have engine damage or steering damage or whatever, you can lose control ranks. And if you damage a vehicle's controls, you can make it crash. Speed is the number of areas you can move in 1 turn. So vehicles move area to area just like people. They move forward and then move backward up to 1/2 their normal speed, rounding fractions up. If you want to shift from forward to reverse while you're moving, you have to do a control feat roll. So you use the control value of the vehicle. If the roll fails, the vehicle stops and doesn't move backwards. And most vehicles are confined to a certain type of movement. Boats only travel on the water, cars on the road, planes in the air. If you're moving at normal speed or slower, you can turn up to 90 degrees in each area you enter. And if you want to turn more than that, you have to make a control feat to keep from crashing. And if you are moving faster than your normal speed at all, you have to make a control feat every time you turn. Make sure you don't crash. Any special maneuver is a stunt, so turning more than 90 degrees at normal speed, turning at all above normal speed, skidding, jumping across walls, etc. So you have to make a control feat in each of these cases. If the vehicle crashes, the driver makes an agility feat roll on the shift shift 0 column of the universal table. A green, yellow, or red result means the vehicle crashes in the area where it lost control. A white result means the vehicle moves into adjacent area and crashes. If the vehicle was attempting to turn, it skids sideways in the direction the driver was attempting to turn. Otherwise, the vehicle continues straight ahead. If it doesn't crash into a wall or a tree or some other barrier, it will tip over, and passengers can try to jump clear by making an agility feat roll. Characters who fail the roll or who stay in the vehicle take damage equal to 10 times the vehicle's speed when it crashed. So if you're in a Quinjet that crashes at full speed of 25, you take 250 damage. It should be pretty bad. And if you crash into a solid barrier, like a wall or a tank or whatever, you compare the vehicle's body rank to the material rank of the barrier. If the barrier's rank is higher, the vehicle smashes against the wall, and every passenger takes damage equal to the material rank of the barrier plus 10 times the vehicle's speed this round. Yikes. But if the vehicle's body is higher than the barrier, the vehicle breaks through, and every passenger inside takes damage equal to 10 times the vehicle's speed. If you crash into a solid object, you cannot escape by doing an agility feat roll. However, built-in safety features protect you from 10 points of damage in a crash for each safety feature. But if you're using safety features, you can't attempt to also jump free with an agility feat. They talk about vehicles in combat, so you can use vehicles to ram into people. So the vehicle will hit the person automatically unless the person makes a successful agility feat roll to get out of the way, and the vehicle causes damage equal to its body rank number, and the vehicle will take damage equal to the opponent's body armor rank if they have any. And if the one vehicle is attempting to ram another, the attacker will automatically hit the defender unless the defender makes a successful control feat. If the defender fails the roll, treat the result as a crash into a solid object for both vehicles, using the rolls we just used for barriers there. If the defender makes a control feat, both drivers must immediately make another control feat roll to see if they crash while maneuvering to ram or avoid being rammed. Then you got how to deal with vehicles with weapons, and typically they'll need, they'll be a little bit larger than a handheld weapon, and they may do more damage as a result. And the character firing the weapon will make an agility roll to see if he hits the target with all the usual modifiers. However, you probably will need somebody who's not driving to do it. On occasion, you can also fire a handheld weapon from a moving vehicle, so you have to make an agility roll to hit the target, but the driver can't fire weapons which require two hands to operate unless both his strength and agility ranks are remarkable or higher, or unless he has more than two hands. Which does happen. You can also have computerized weapons. They have an agility of their own, so they just do the attacks by themselves. When a vehicle is attacked, its body acts like a hero's body armor. The body rank number is subtracted from all damage that hits the vehicle. This armor protects passengers and control systems, but does not protect speed. A bullseye can hit unprotected passengers, such as people sitting near windows, or controls, like tires, without passing through the body. So that's pretty cool. If you roll a bullseye when attacking a vehicle, you can take out the tires, which will potentially cause the vehicle to crash from losing control ranks, and you don't have to worry about the body doing anything. If the damage is more than the vehicle's body rank, the attacker can either shred the body. The vehicle's body rank is reduced below feeble to shift 0. You can attack a passenger. You can choose a single passenger to take the damage, or you can damage the controls. Points of damage are subtracted directly from the control rank number, and then that means the vehicle is more and more likely to lose control and crash, and that can, as we see, do a hell of a lot of damage to people inside of it. Then we got your different types of vehicles, your motor vehicles, and they've got some nice stats here for standard vehicles you might have, from a standard sedan to a luxury car to a security limo to a semi-trailer to an ATV, giant robot, a train, or a borer, which is an automated tunneling vehicle. Also got aircraft, small prop planes, to military jets, to commercial jets, to the Quinjet, the Fantastic Car, combat choppers, and alien landing craft as well. And then we have watercraft. So you got sailboats, yachts, PT boats, speedboats, battleships, mini subs, all kinds of stuff. Then you have long distance travel. Depending on your speed, this will show how far you travel in an hour, depending on your method of travel. If you have a vehicle or a special power, you can fly, for example, at a certain rank. You check this table, and that'll tell you how far you can go in an hour, depending on whether you're traveling by surface or by air. We've got heavy artillery. These are additional types of weapons. These are military weapons, so you have to steal them from the army or buy them from the army or get them on the black market. So these are things like submachine guns. It fires bursts, so one burst can hit up to 3 people if they're standing in a group and the attacker makes his feat roll to hit more than one target. Machine guns, they hit everybody in a target area if they fire a burst. A flamethrower, everybody in front of it in range will get hit and catch fire, taking 10 points of damage every round until the flames are put out. An LAW is a light anti-tank weapon, so bazookas and wire and teleguided missiles. They pack a big punch. Then you got light artillery like mortars, small howitzers, etc. Heavy artillery like self-propelled howitzers, battleship guns. You got fire hoses for knocking people over. Got hand grenades for explosions, and also smoke and gas grenades. If you do a high explosive grenade, you make a separate feat roll on the remarkable column for each hero in the area affected, and then you check for effects on the hack and slash column. A hit causes 30 points of damage. High explosive grenades cost 20 resource points each. Smoke grenades don't cause any damage, but they produce colored smoke that nobody with normal vision can see into, out of, or through. Everybody in the smoke cloud has a penalty of a 2-column shift to the left on all feat rolls. It also applies to people who try to shoot or throw weapons at targets within the smoke. They only cost 10 resource points. Gas grenades release gas instead of smoke, and the cost and the effect varies according to what kind of gas it is. Then you have your guided missiles, a movable bomb vehicle in game terms. So a standard guided missile has a body excellent, control remarkable, speed excellent, and damage incredible. The explosive usually won't be weaker than excellent or stronger than unearthly, depending on the missile. Explosives are things like high explosive grenades. Their rank can vary all the way from good to class 1000, and they again use the hack and slash column on the effects table. Usually cost about 10 times their rank number. And then we got our toxic and knockout gases. The judge will make a potency feat roll according to the potency of the gas or the toxin. If the roll fails, the character didn't get enough of the dose to be affected. If the roll succeeds, the character is affected must make an endurance roll, and then if that fails, the gas takes full effect. If the endurance feat succeeded, the gas takes reduced effect. Toxic gas knocks the hero out for as long as he is in the gas, and knockout gases knock him out for 1 to 10 rounds. Carrying this stuff around tends to be frowned upon by law enforcement, so watch out for that. Then we got building things. So this is allowing you to invent stuff, which is pretty cool. You can make vehicles, you can make robots, which are in charge of themselves. You can create weapons, armored suits, and special devices that don't fit these categories. And so the way you do that is outlined here. You have range ranks, so they assign range and areas to the normal ranks. Size modifiers in terms of resource points. Basically, when you invent something, you want to decide, how big the thing is going to be, which is going to affect the cost. Small is costly and big is costly. Easily portable and man-sized don't add any additional cost. Inventing and building an item takes as many hours as its cost in resource points. So, if you throw too much stuff into an item, it's going to take forever to build. They give you an example here. So you got a bug machine. It's a vehicle, a big spider-shaped thing with a dome where the driver sits and 4 legs to move around on. They like to make the body excellent, like a heavy truck, with a poor speed. It doesn't need to be fast. And it doesn't need very good control, so typical should be adequate. So that ends up with a body excellent costing 200 resources. Poor speed is 40. Control typical 60. Room sized, which gives you 100, according to the size modifiers, for a total of 400 resources. So that will cost somebody 400 resource points and 400 hours of work. Yeah, if you have a reason rank that is above any of the ranks used in the machine, then you don't have to roll. But typically what will happen is that when you want to make an invention, the judge will make a secret reason feat roll. And if it succeeds, the hero will know if something was wrong and he should double check it. If he fails, then he'll think it's fine, even though it's not. Anytime you try to insert an ability that's higher than your reason rank, then the judge will make a reason feat roll, shifting 1 column to the left for every rank of difference between the invention's highest rank and the hero's reason. And the judge doesn't tell you what the difference was. But if the feat succeeds, then the invention was fine. If the feat failed, something is wrong, and that's when you try to investigate with the second secret feat roll. But again, if you're building stuff that's all below your reason rank, then you don't need to worry about these secret rolls, and you can build anything you want that fits below that. And they give some more examples. So there's a sentry robot, incredible fighting, good agility, excellent strength, typical endurance, poor reason, and it's man size, so no modifiers there. Total of 800 resources and 800 hours to build. Robots can also have intuition and psyche as well if you want them to be intelligent. Adding stuff on to your previous invention. So now we've got the bug machine walking car into a robot that stacks cars, and they show you how to do that. Then there are special devices. So these are things that don't have ability ranks. So this could be invisibility field generator. So you have to define what it does, and then the judge takes over. So you look at the reason power roster on page 6. Choose the reason rank that most closely matches the complexity of the invention. If it goes beyond current knowledge, then its complexity could be amazing, monstrous, or even unearthly. But if it pushes into class 1000, then you just can't do it. The hero will have to pay the cost for that rank. Then you roll the dice, add the numbers together, and multiply the sum by 10. This is a random cost and time factor that comes from working on strange new devices, and you have to pay that too. Finally, you add the cost for the device's abilities, the rank numbers of all its abilities times 10, and the complexity cost, which is the complexity rank times 10, and the random cost time factor, and you have to pay all that that and resource points to build the item. So they give an example of building a teleporter. For a teleport distance of remarkable, that costs 300. The complexity is amazing, according to the judge, so that's 500. The random factor, or a 4 and an 8 for a 12. Multiply that by 10, which is 120. And it's man size, so no mods. Total of 920. You then have to make a reason feat roll shifted 3 columns to the left, so it's tough, but doable. Then you have alien technology. Reason feat roll to understand how a alien piece of technology works, but you might not be able to fix it or understand it. And whenever you make a feat roll, depending on the device, you have to shift 1 column to the left on the table. If the feat result is yellow or red, you understand the item well enough to use it without any column shifts. If you fail completely, you have no idea what the device is. You just start punching buttons and hope nothing blows up. Simple alien devices, though, can be figured out. If it's just one big button or something, then, you don't need to worry too much about that. Then we have campaigns. Now here we get into the rules that were pretty much only hinted at in the battle book, so we talk much more about karma. Here we have a nice table with examples of what you can do to gain or lose karma. Not all of them, but a bunch of them are separated by a slash and have 2 numbers. So the first amount is awarded for stopping or preventing the crime in question, and the second amount is awarded if the criminals are arrested. If you stop the villain or criminal and turn them over to the cops, you get both numbers. If you stop a violent crime, you get 30. If you then bring that person over to the cops to be arrested, you get 15 more. So you can see the karma rewards really try to encourage heroic behavior. So stopping violent crime, destructive crime, theft, robbery, misdemeanor, local conspiracy, national conspiracy, global conspiracy, other crimes, rescuing people, getting together with friends, helping a friend in need, going on a date, spending a week with family, meeting your weekly responsibilities, making charity appearances, signing autographs. All these stuff give you positive karma, but including good role playing as well. Killing, you lose all your karma immediately. Committing a crime, lose 10 to 40. Permitting a crime to occur, you lose 10 to 40. Defeat in public to a villain, you lose 30. A private defeat, you still lose 20 karma, even if nobody's around to see it. Destruction of property, you get a range of numbers depending on how much property you destroy. If you're late for a date or leave an appointment, you fail your weekly responsibilities, or you skip your practice for the week, then you lose karma for all that. So to keep your karma at a healthy level where you can use it to save your butt in key roles is a big part of the game, and you really need to make sure that you do heroic things to keep those karma numbers high. And here they give some nice examples of karma values. Here's Captain America making a charity appearance, getting plus 30, saving somebody from a building, plus 30, killed somebody, whoops, loses everything. Just flying around is nothing. Saving somebody, be plus 30. Signing autographs, just get you 1. Nice little illustration and some explanation about each of these specific points. Another one that's important is that if you defeat a really powerful villain, then you get a bonus. So a hero, a group of heroes, if they defeat a villain whose ability rank is remarkable or better at the highest, then you get bonus karma points equal to the villain's highest ability rank number. If a group of heroes do that together, every hero gets the full bonus. So beating a villain with high abilities gets you a lot of karma. If you have to call in help, or if the judge sends in the cavalry like the Avengers to save your butt so you don't die in the battle, then you only get half the karma rewards. So they also suggest that if you want to save some time, you could have heroes that are working in a group kind of pool their karma together, and that would help insulate heroes who tend to kill people whether they intend to or not, like Wolverine, from too many karma losses. The pool of karma that he builds up for doing good things would be helpful for the whole group and stay there, while his personal karma would drop. But he could pull from the group karma pool when needed. So that's quite a good idea if you've got a mixed bag of heroes. Then practice. This is really interesting to me. So, we see that the Avengers gym and the X-Men Danger Room, they do train and practice quite a bit to stay fit and on top of their game and control their powers. If you don't do that in this game, at least once a week, you lose 10 karma points, and you also shift 1 column to the left on all feat and attack rolls for the entire week following the one without practice. So you really just need to make sure you get that practice in. Then we have random encounters. This is kind of a weird one because they give a random encounter table, but it's specifically for Spider-Man. So a die roll of 1 to 4 is no encounter. A 5 would be a petty crime. In progress, 6 would be adoring fans looking for autographs. 7 is spotting a supervillain on his way to commit a crime related to a current adventure. On an 8, Aunt May becomes ill. On a 9, you run out of web fluid at a critical time. On a 10, you get invited to a party at the same time when J.J. Jameson wants him to photograph the Avengers charity banquet. And it says make a different random encounter table for each hero and change the encounters each week. I mean, that's a lot of work for the GM, so I don't know how much I'd be really wanting to do that. I think it'd be more interesting just to have ideas about what's happening on a larger scale in the game world and have random encounters with bad guys based on that. So what the local gangs are doing, the criminal underworld, the supervillain world, etc. And, then you can throw them at the group when you need to spice things up rather than here's a specific table I roll on for the thing or whatever, and I have to change it all the time. Non-player characters. So these are obviously all the characters controlled by the judge. Standard NPCs, or who are not superheroes, will have ability ranks between feeble and excellent, and they give you a quick way to roll up random NPCs, and then a table of standard NPCs, like thugs, police, mercenaries, firefighters, border students, doctors, and scientists. Type of people you might run into as an adventuring superhero. Also got soldiers, SWAT members, lawyers, and politicians as well. Now, popularity is factored into how people react to you, which is also fun. When you show up in public or you talk to strangers as a superhero, you have to make a popularity feat roll, and you can add karma to it if you need to. And if you get green, yellow, or red, the crowd likes you. And the better you roll, the more people will like you. If the result was white, then the crowd will dislike you and maybe even ignore your advice, or even run for cover if they're afraid of you. Results for an individual will be judged in the same way, but you can make them more detailed because you're dealing with just an individual person. Criminals react differently than regular people, so to get a good reaction from a criminal, a hero must get a white result on the popularity feat roll. So the less popular you are, the more criminals like you, which makes sense, I suppose. Then you have newspapers. So if you do something big like save the world or stop a bank robbery or save a bus from falling off a bridge, newspaper will write about it, and then you make a popularity feat roll. If you get green, yellow, or red, the story comes out and makes you look good. If it's white, either the story didn't make the news or it makes the hero look bad, and shift this feat roll 3 columns to the left if the story appears in the Daily Bugle, since J. Jonah Jameson doesn't exactly like superheroes. Can't use karma on this dice roll, interestingly. Then you have government and the law, so heroes have to obey the laws just like everybody else. You can still get in trouble for robbing banks, stealing cars, killing or endangering the lives of people, withholding evidence or information. If you've got anything that the police need, you need to hand it over. Unless you've been deputized or appointed as a federal marshal by the government, you're just another private citizen, so you can make a citizen's arrest, but you can't break the law to capture a crook or act as judge, jury, or executioner. You have to deal with local police, SWAT teams, federal agencies, etc. And then they mention as well Project Wide Awake, which has a supplement of its own, which is the illegal government operation set up to monitor mutants and superpowered beings in the US and the world. It's responsible for the creation of the giant Sentinel robots. And they have some basics of the streamlined procedure for handling a crime in the American legal system. You can determine the verdict of a trial if a villain or a hero is brought to trial, which is quite fun. So if you commit a crime, you'll have to face these popularity ranks and then shift the columns as follows, depending on certain things. Make a popularity feat roll to see if you're convicted or acquitted. Well, that's kind of fun. Then we have animals as well. So there aren't too many animals that superheroes need to worry about, but there are some with annoying abilities that could be dangerous. So sharks, for example, great deal of strength and endurance, and they have teeth as well, so they can damage you pretty good, depending. Got alligators as well, who are similar. Eagles, cats, insects, which can get under your armor. And it says here, if you're attacked by insects, you have to make an endurance feat roll. If you fail, you spend that round itching and scratching, and you have to disperse the swarm by dealing it damage until it reaches 0. And then you have got lions and bears, who also have claw attacks. And some animals are poisonous as well. So if you get poisoned by them, the judge will make a feat roll for the poison using the poison's potency rank. Special environments. So what to do if you're underwater, for example. If you don't have an ability to breathe underwater, like you're not from Atlantis, like Prince Namor, then you'll need to have some kind of supply of air, like scuba tanks, which will help you breathe for 2 hours. Or a submarine, you can breathe underwater indefinitely, and you can hold your breath for 3 rounds if you don't have any other way. But then at the beginning of every round after that, you have to make an endurance feat roll, which if you fail, you start drowning, and you have to reach air in 1 round or fall unconscious and lose 1 rank of endurance per round until you die or are rescued. So similar to dying on the ground. Land creatures can move through a body of water at 1/2 their land speed, whether you're swimming or walking along the bottom. But if you're a native to water, like an Atlantean, then you can move at normal speed. Shift attacks 1 column to the left in addition to normal adjustments when you're underwater. And distance weapons are effective only within the same area from which the weapon is fired. Distance weapons that use fire or explosives or gunpowder don't work underwater for obvious reasons. Then you give some stats for a typical Atlantean. They leave the water, they need special breathing apparatus to stay on land, unless you're Namor himself, in which case he's a human Atlantean hybrid that can live on land for a few days before that presents a problem. Then we've got another difficult environment, which is, of course, the vacuum of space. Anyone exposed to the vacuum of space must make an endurance feat roll at the end of every round to remain conscious. If you have unearthly endurance, you're immune to the effects of vacuum, and if you've got a monstrous endurance, you can resist the vacuum for 5 rounds before you need to make a feat roll. That's not a very long time. So really, you want to be looking at unearthly endurance if you want to be doing frequent spaceflight. But as they mentioned, there are space vessels available, and they range from space shuttles to warp-driven starships. And they will have air supply, and you don't need to worry about all that kind of stuff. Gravity is also an important consideration. So if you're on a ship and there's artificial gravity, then everything works normally. But if there's no gravity, shift distance weapon attacks one column to the right, and check for a possible slam on any hit in a slugfest. And then they talk about 3 particular important alien races: the blue-skinned Kree, the shape-shifting Skrulls, and the bird-like Shi'ar. And each of those have a large empire. And they give you some stats for a typical member of those races. So Kree, a Skrull, and a Shi'ar. And the Skrulls have natural ability to change shape and appearance, enlarging themselves as much as 1.5 times their normal size. Then you also have other dimensions that you can enter into. So the Mystic Dimensions, which are places like the Dark Dimension of Dormammu and the Dimension of Dreams, ruled by Nightmare. You can only usually get there via spells. And you have the Astral Dimension. So you can reach this via astral projection, and they give you rules for how to do that. So when you're in an astral form, your health is equal to your Psyche rank number, and returns to normal when you re-enter the body. But all injuries that you sustain while in astral form are healed when you return to the material body. When the astral traveler returns to the material body, you must make a Psyche feat roll to withstand the shock, and if it fails, you lose health points equal to the Psyche rank number. While you're astral projecting, your physical body is in a kind of coma-like state, and if anybody harms it, then the material body will retain the damage even after rejoined by the soul self. And if the material body is destroyed or possessed, the soul self is now trapped in astral form until it locates a new body. If the body you're trying to enter has a soul already, you can't enter it without the aid of a magical spell or device. There's some hazards associated with astral travel, even for powerful sorcerers and such. You got the Negative Zone, which is a pocket universe where everything is made of antimatter. You got Asgard, where the Nordic gods live, and Thor, of course. You got Olympus, where the Greek gods live, and Heliopolis, where the Egyptian gods live, as well as Hades and the Underworld, the domains of Pluto and Mephisto. And then they give you some stats for typical Asgardians and Olympians, who are really strong in general. Their heroes and leaders are very, very powerful, of course, like Thor and Hercules. Then we have the other races of man, so they are products of experimentation, like the Eternals. They're a genetic experimentation by the Celestials. They're immortal and capable of wielding cosmic energy in a variety of forms. We have Deviants, who are mutants that mutate a lot from generation to generation, and they're by nature evil and try to enslave humanity. We have Inhumans, who are a product of Kree experimentation. They mutate more rapidly than humans, but less so than Deviants, and they have settled and live on the Earth's moon. And there's comics about the Inhumans as well. I think there was a TV show as well, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have the Mutants, as we know from the X-Men. So they are the children of normal humans, but their genetic structure has been altered by the change in background radiation on the Earth due to entering the modern atomic era. And now we have some notes on playing with miniatures, so you can convert areas into inches and so forth. And then a word from the bad guys. So there are different types of bad guys. There are conquerors who want to rule the Earth, like Dr. Doom here. Thieves, they just want to steal wealth and stuff. Planners, they are committing crimes via conspiracy rather than by themselves. Then they have the maniacs. Crime is the only means to some twisted goal. Then you have some villains who fall into multiple categories. They talk a little bit about some of the larger crime groups in America, and a villain earns as much karma for performing a crime as a hero would earn for foiling it. So villains get karma in sort of the exact reverse way of heroes. If you explain the vital points of a plan or device to a hero, you get 20 karma points as well, which is quite funny. It encourages the classic, well, now that you're doomed to suffer in my force cage, I'll tell you everything about my evil plan. And then you get out and stop the evil plan. They encourage that by, the villain's characters will gain karma for that. Villains lose karma, of course, if they're beaten. A villain who kills loses 30 karma points, so it's still considered bad even though they're evil. The elimination of your own incompetent people is of no consequence. You don't lose any karma for that. But they can't spend more than 20 points of karma to modify a roll, as we know from the basic rulebook. There are 3 exceptions. You can spend 40 karma points to defend themselves, to reduce the effectiveness of an opponent's attack. You can spend any amount up to his karma limit to escape from enemies. And you can also spend any amount of karma to further the plot. Then they have the Table 23 Wages of Sin, so the resources you get from robbing banks, armored cars, stores, individuals, or private homes. Then they give you some guidelines for being the judge, so you should be a good storyteller, and you must be accurate, so you should know how to handle the rules. They tell you to be neutral. You control the villains, but you must not favor their side. Your job is not killing heroes. Your job is presenting challenges and obstacles for the players to overcome. It's a little bit different from some of the modern era games where Powered by the Apocalypse games explicitly tell you to be a fan of the player characters. You want them to succeed. Here, you're supposed to be more of a neutral arbiter, which was the way of things as being a dungeon master or game master back in this time. But the rules have been constructed in such a way that villains have built-in disadvantages, for example, how they spend karma. So that gives the heroes an edge and makes sure that the play stays heroic, even if the judge is very neutral in how they apply the rules and don't, actively encourage superheroic feats and craziness through their rulings. Then we have our character generation system. I'm not really going to go into this because you get really crazy stuff with this, but it is kind of funny. It's all about randomness, essentially. So you roll percentile dice to determine if they're mutant, altered human, high-tech wonder, robot, or alien. Then you assign ranks and rank numbers to the hero's abilities, again by rolling randomly. So you can end with some really crazy characters, and you do that for each ability, just going down the line in the old school style. If you're a high-tech wonder, though, you can increase the reason by 1 rank, and if you're a mutant, increase endurance by 1 rank. If you're a robot and your reason is feeble, poor, or typical, you can increase it to good. You determine health by adding together fighting, agility, strength, and endurance. You add reason, intuition, and psyche to get karma. Then you roll percentile dice again to get random ranks for your resources. If you're a high-tech wonder and your resource rank is excellent or less, you start the game with 210 resource points in cash. You have to start with a popularity of 50 and then modify that with any modifiers that apply in table 26 here. So if you're a robot or a mutant, or if your identity is secret or whatever, then you determine your powers. So you roll first to determine how many powers you have from 2 to 5. Then you roll for the power categories. Resistances, senses, movement, nature control, energy control, body control, distance attacks, mental powers, body alterations, offensive, body alterations, defensive, weapons, vehicles, sidekicks, and alter egos. If you're a high-tech wonder, you automatically have an alter ego. And then they have a list of the basic powers here. Now, there's not a lot of powers, obviously, in the basic game. There are more in the advanced game. And then there's also the Ultimate Powers book, which is really essential, I think, if you want to play this game long-term. It gives you a huge number of powers. It's only about 100 and so pages long, but more than enough powers in there for you to replicate pretty much most of the Marvel heroes you can imagine. And anyway, you don't really need to do that because they're all statted out for you in the handbook volumes for the Marvel Universe anyway. Then they explain all these different powers. So powers of movement, like gliding, leaping, wall crawling, lightning speed, teleportation. Nature control, you can control different elements. Weather, energy control, you control magnetism, electricity, light, sound, dark force, gravity. Body control, you can grow, shrink, change your density. You can phase in and out of tangibility. You can become invisible. You could be plastic, like Mr. Fantastic. You could shapeshift, transform your body into different substances while retaining your shape, like fire or gas or dark force or different kinds of minerals, stuff like that. Distance attacks, you can get high-tech missile weapons and snaring missile weapons. Mental force attacks, so it's a psionic blast using your psyche feat. Cold, energy, fire, sound, and dark force weapons. You can get mental powers, telepathy, image generation, so making illusions essentially, telekinesis, mind control, making force fields, animal communication and control, which is pretty cool. Body alterations offensive include things like extra body parts, like more arms, extra attacks, energy touch. You can either touch somebody with an agility feat to cause damage equal to this power rank number. Normal body armor is less effective against this type of damage, so that helps. Poisonous, paralyzing touch, so your touch is toxic, can kill or knock people out. You can have claws like Wolverine, and attacks are resolved in the hack and slash column. Body alteration defensive, you can have body armor. Regeneration, you recover health points faster than normal. You recover as if your endurance equaled this power rank or endurance plus 1 rank, whichever is higher. You can have unique weapons, intelligent weapons, unique vehicle, a sidekick. They don't earn karma. Their starting karma is added to the partner's karma score, but from then on, the hero is responsible for covering the sidekick's karma needs. So that adds a little bit of annoyance for those of you who do have a sidekick. But a sidekick can be really valuable in combat or for doing things when you need to be busy with the bigger picture. Then you have talents. Talents are available to anyone through learning and natural ability, and there are 3 types: combat training, professions, and then sciences. You can have talents in guns, thrown weapons, bows, blunt, and sharp weapons. And talents give the attacker 1 column shift to the right when using the named weapon type in combat. Marksman gives you a column shift to the right with any weapon that requires an agility feat. Weapon Master gives you 1 column shift to the right when using any weapon that requires a fighting feat. Martial Arts, you can slam or stun any opponent, even if the opponent has a higher strength rank. Wrestling gives you 2 column shifts when wrestling, but doesn't affect damage. First Aid, you can help a hero who's unconscious, and if you apply it within 10 rounds after the hero became unconscious, they stop losing endurance ranks. You can have Medicine, that includes First Aid, but allows a 20-round time limit, and your reason is increased by 1 rank when dealing with medical problems, medications, poisons, and surgery. You can be a lawyer, so your reason shifts one to the right when dealing with legal problems. Law enforcement, you know the law, you can carry a gun and make arrests, and has all the bonuses of the guns talent up here, so you get that column shift. Aeronautics, you have a pilot license, can pilot any normal aircraft, but not spacecraft. You can be military, and when dealing with the military in any way, you get a 1-column reason shift and temporary 10-point bonus to popularity. Business finance, you get 1 column shift to the right when dealing with business and money, and you can increase your resource rank by maintaining the maximum resource level for only 2 weeks. Scholars get a 1 column shift to the right when dealing with any subject they have studied. Journalism, you have contacts with local papers, police departments, politics, and the underworld. Engineers get a column shift to the right when inventing or building stuff. The various science talents give you a bonus shift to 1 column to the right when using reason to deal with a problem within one of these fields, including inventing and building things. Then they give you some advice about magic, so you should only build a magical character with the approval of the judge because they can be really, really strong. You can also increase an ability or power rank by voluntarily limiting that power, but that has to be improved by the judge. For example, a judge could give you an increase from an agility from excellent to remarkable if the hero becomes nocturnal. You could increase your ability to control fire if you limit your range to the area you occupy. So basically, simple limits on the effectiveness, the duration, or the distance of effect of a power can allow the judge to give you a boost in rank if the judge feels it's appropriate. You can also advance abilities or powers by using karma points. So it's kind of like Cypher System in that way, you know, your XP and your meta currency are effectively the same thing. So you need to decide whether to spend karma to save your butt in the moment or keep trying to hoard it until you can buy new stuff for your character. So first you create an improvement fund with 200 karma points. Those are lost forever, but then in exchange you have an improvement fund where you can save karma up. So you can put stuff in that fund and it can only thereafter be used to improve powers and abilities or gain new powers. So improving a power ability costs karma equal to the new rank number times 100. An ability or power can only be raised 1 rank at a time, and you can only do that once per game year. You can never go to class 1000. A new power entirely costs 3000 karma points plus power rank times 100. Power rank is determined randomly, and the hero must have some justification for gaining a new power, like you got exposed to gamma radiation or something. A new talent is 500 karma points, but you can only gain 1 per year because you have to spend your time studying, going to school, on-the-job training, etc. And here we have an example of a full character build for somebody called Mach 1, and then the character information sheet if you want to make your own characters. So there you go. And that is the total rules burden that we have for the basic set. Really not too bad. And then in addition, we have our still have the RPGA Association joining sheet, which won't be needing anytime soon since they don't exist. We have now 12 character cards, I think, or 8. 8? It's 8. We have 8 character cards included with the set. Spider-Man, Wolverine, Captain America, Captain Marvel, The Thing, Invisible Girl, Mr. Fantastic, and Human Torch. And all of them fully statted out on the back. So, for example, the Human Torch, we can see... Here they put the numbers, thank goodness. His numbers for FASERIP purposes are not very high. Popularity is 80. He's got remarkable resources. But his powers are pretty cool. He can generate control fire, fire resistance, flight, body armor, and Nova Blast. He's got reason and intuition, excellent for cars and racing as his talent. And bombardment by cosmic radiation gave him his powers. That's his background. And so we have that info for all of these guys. Let's look at the big brick, The Thing. He's got fighting at incredible, strength at monstrous, endurance at monstrous, 75. Health at 200. So that's pretty dang good. He's got thick skin and body armor. So he's got incredible level 40 body armor against all physical attacks. He's a pilot. He can fly any airplane or spacecraft of terrestrial design. And he can figure out the workings of any alien craft if he makes a successful reason feat roll. And his reason is incredible for the purposes of this roll. Then we can look at, let's see, Captain America, good old Steve Rogers. Fighting is amazing. He's got incredible agility and intuition and remarkable endurance. Health of 140, high popularity at 100. And he's got his unique weapon of the shield made of adamantium and vibranium alloy. It's a class 1000 material that cannot be damaged by any force except psionics. You can absorb 90 points of damage per round, but if you're using the shield to protect yourself, you can't attack that round. And you're still subject to slams and stuns when you get hit while you're using the shield. You can throw your shield with monstrous agility and cause remarkable damage to whatever it hits. He also has a talent in being a freelance illustrator. And then, of course, good old friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, Peter Parker. He's got remarkable fighting, amazing agility, incredible strength and endurance, excellent reason, amazing intuition, Spidey sense, and incredible psyche. His health is 160, got 110 karma, but he's poor and his popularity is not that high. But he can wall crawl. He's got the spider sense, so he can make an intuition feat roll whenever he's in immediate danger. And if the roll is good, he's alerted in time to react. So you can avoid surprise. He's got his web shooters. He can fire up to 2 areas away. You can use them as swing lines, missiles, and shields to block passages and tie up villains. Does not conduct electricity. And he got several miniature homing devices tuned to his spider senses with a range of 1 mile. He's got the talent of photography and a reason of remarkable in chemistry. So there you go. You could just get a few characters to start with. And then you have all these little tokens here. You got tokens for things like clutter, fireman, more clutter, Sue Storm. We've got Thor, my namesake. We've got Johnny Storm, a soldier, my proof of purchase. We've got the Beetle, Captain America. Oh, that's a helicopter. Okay. Norbert Ebersol. We've got Dr. Octopus, the bad guy of our sample scenario. We've got soldiers again, Captain America, a police chief, soldier, Grotto. So they're double-sided, some of these as well. I didn't notice that. Spider-Man, Mr. Fantastic, and Reed Richards on the other side. The Thing, and Ben Grimm on the other side. And we've got a fireman, or a thug. We've got McDonald Mac Gargan, or the Scorpion. We've got the Octodroid, which is massive, and a broken Octodroid. We've got a fire truck, and a truck or van. We've got Wolverine, or Logan, and Radioactive Man, or Dr. Chen Lu. So there you go. That is the basic set all summed up here. You can see, I mean, the game is pretty easy to understand. It really allows you to just jump in and start having a good time with the battle book, and then you can jump into campaign play by reading the full-on campaign book. I think it's really still a game that holds up after all this time. I love the universal resolution mechanic of the, on the judge's screen here, we can see the universal table and the battle effects table. Now, what's nice about this judge's screen as well, which is separate from the main box set, you get a little guide to New York City, a little bit about, good campaign setting for the Marvel Universe. And then you have, this is the judge's side here, we've got tables on rank numbers and descriptors, abilities and activities associated with each ability, popularity ranks and what they mean, popularity shifts, that'll happen if you know an NPC, speed ranks and what that translates into in terms of area movement at normal and top speed, common costs listed here, dice rolls for random NPCs, a reminder of what kind of impact certain actions will have on karma, a resource table, material strength table, the weapons table, and the universal table. But on the player side as well, you also have the universal table, so the players can easily reference it at any time. You got a quick map of Marvel Manhattan with key locations on the legend here as well. So it's useful for both player and judge, which I like a lot. And again, makes the game nice and accessible. And having this little handy guide to New York is fun. It's just like 8 pages. It's not a big thing, but it just adds a little bit of color to the setting. You can use ideas from there about cool places to fight and so forth. And there is, of course, an entire New York campaign box set that you can get as well, which is a good deal of fun. So there you go. That is FASERIP in its original form, 1984, with the judge's screen. Again, if you want to tell your own stories in the Marvel Universe, this is a great way to do it. This is the basic set, and there is a revised box set, which is very easy to tell apart because it says New Revised Edition on the front. And we'll look at that next time. That one includes more elements of the advanced set, but we'll move to the advanced set in the last video because that one is the most chunky in terms of rules. But it's still very easy to jump into if you have experience with the basic set or with any mid-crunch role-playing game. It's really easy to get into. So there you go. I think this game, like I said, really still holds up. The only problem is that, like any old licensed game, it's long out of print. If you want to look for PDFs, you're going to be out of luck. But, if you really feel like you want to play classic Marvel forever, I'm sure you can find a way to find appropriate scans and stuff. You get really desperate. If you go on eBay, you can find a lot of this stuff for not too bad prices, depending on the specific item you're looking for. The base set here, this one cost me £35 via eBay when I got a newer copy. The judge's screen was $7.99 with the pamphlet, so that's not bad at all. The advanced set is a lot harder to find. That one I waited for a while and got a good copy for about £60. But yeah, a lot of people want the advanced set because it has the most rules and it has a huge book of fully statted up heroes in it as well. So a lot of demand for that one if you want to get a physical copy. But the game, I think, is really worth it if you enjoy the Marvel Universe and you want to have some fun with it and make your own canon if you don't like the MCU. So I hope that was helpful. If you want to know some more about the game, just stay tuned because we're going to hear more in the coming weeks as I talk more about the other basic set and the advanced set, and I'll even show off some of the cool expansions, both the box sets, the Realms of Magic supplement, and other stuff that adds cool mechanics to the game. So as per usual, if you enjoyed the video today, please on your way out leave a like and subscribe and click the little bell thingy if you want to be notified when I have a new video coming out, which is typically once every 2 weeks nowadays. So I'm back at work and pretty busy. I'll try to do more often when I can, but you never know. I mean, real life gets in the way, of course. And if you want to help me defray the costs of the enormous difficulty of collecting all this old and new RPG stuff that I do, there's a Ko-fi link down below where you can send donations anytime you like, and they're always appreciated. So with that, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day. Look forward to seeing you in the comment section below and in the next video, I hope, as well. So take care and bye-bye.